Hi, everybody. Welcome to Monday Night Zen practice. My name is Meredith. I haven't been here a little while on a Monday night. I'm usually here on Wednesdays, so happy to do a little silent sitting tonight with everybody. Is there anybody that's here for the first time? Are you new to Dharma Bum Temple, new to meditation, new to both? Yes? Okay. We'll go through it step by step so that everybody knows what's going on, to the best of my ability anyway. All right. So whether you're new or not to zazen or seated meditation, I always like to start by going over the proper way to sit because posture is really, really important in this practice. Proper alignment of the body allows us to sit and breathe more effectively, and it allows us to sit for longer periods of time, hopefully with less discomfort. So in traditional formal Zen practice, practitioners can sit for really long periods of time over numerous days. They call it sesshin. But generally speaking, for any zazen practice, you should still strive for proper alignment. Doesn't matter how long you're sitting. So let's do this together as we get ready to meditate. Keeping your back straight, your head and your neck should be in line with your spine, your shoulders. You can drop your shoulders away from your ears, and you can tuck your chin in just slightly. Now, whether you're sitting on a cushion, or if you're on a meditation bench, or if you're in a chair, the main requirement is to be stable and upright and ready to sit still for however long you're going to sit. Sometimes you can gently sway back and forth from side to side, and that can help you find the most stable position for your body. The important thing is to be comfortable enough so that you don't fidget or experience too much physical discomfort. When you're sitting on a cushion, it's important to sit so that your hips are higher than your knees. So your knees should touch the ground if they can. So sitting like to the front third of your cushion is usually the easiest way to get there. So each knee should rest on the ground and your bottom should rest on the cushion in a way that your weight is evenly distributed. So you have 3 points of contact. For those of you who choose to sit in a chair, your back should be straight and ideally not resting against the back of the chair. So you're going to sit forward enough so that on the edge of the chair so that both of your feet are resting flat on the floor. But if you have any sort of back injury or hip injury, or if you're really new to meditation and your body's just not used to holding itself up like this for a long time, sometimes it's really helpful to get an extra cushion to put underneath your feet or behind your back. So if you feel like you want to do that, feel free to get up and grab an extra cushion. Okay. So generally speaking, your posture during meditation should stay stable and alert. And if you experience any itches or urges to move, try to ignore it and just see what happens. However, if it goes on for too long or if it's really distracting, just go ahead and scratch your itch or move, adjust your position, and then return your attention to your breath. It's not going to make you a bad meditator, I promise. Okay, so what do we do with our hands? We hold our hands lightly in our lap. It's called the cosmic mudra, with the tips of your thumbs touching each other and your right hand cradling your left. And then you can just set it right here in your lap, gently, so that you're comfortable. Sometimes during meditation, you'll find that your thumbs will float away from each other. And if that happens, just gently press them back together again. Usually that means you're drifting off and taking a little bit of a nap. So most Zen practitioners meditate with their eyes slightly open. And if you're new to meditation, that might be really hard. If you're not ready to do that yet, you can meditate with your eyes closed. But no, there's a greater chance that you could get a little sleepy or drift off into some half awake state if your eyes are closed, especially at night. You might be a bit tired. If you can keep your eyes slightly open, Just relax all the tiny muscles in your face and around your eyes and let your vision just do whatever it's going to do. Don't worry about going out of focus or trying to focus. You're just going to look slightly out in front of you at the floor and just let your eyes and your vision rest to do whatever it's going to do. Your mouth should be closed. If you are sick and you cannot breathe out of your nose, open your mouth. But otherwise, mouth closed, tongue on the roof of your mouth, just behind the front teeth. When we breathe from like the deepest part of our diaphragm. Most of us breathe from our chest, our upper chest all day long. We're shallow breathers most of the time. When we sit in zazen, we consciously try to breathe slowly with control and deeply from our diaphragm. If you feel tonight or any time that your mind is restless or agitated, you can try to count your breaths. So you're going to count every out breath. So you breathe in, you breathe out, that's 1. You breathe in, you breathe out, that's 2. I personally hate that, but it's up to you. You can try it if your mind is jumping all over the place. If you try that and it still doesn't feel right to you, just forget about it. Abandon it. Don't worry about it. Basically, all you're going to do is follow your in-breath and follow your out-breath, and you're just going to continue to return your attention to your in-breath and your out-breath over and over again as many times as it takes. Every time you notice that your mind has wandered off, just bring your attention back to your breath. And don't worry about how many times. Honestly, we're all doing the same thing, and nobody cares what you're doing. We're not going to notice. All right, we're probably going to sit for 20, 25 minutes. So for you new people, hang in there. Just be patient. Try to be patient with yourself tonight. Okay. So 3 bells to start, 3 bells to end. Do your best. Go ahead and get yourself settled in a little bit. Okay. Congratulations, you survived 21 whole minutes of meditation for you new people. Torture, not torture. How'd you do? Good? Anybody else? How'd you do? Easy, hard? Did your mind jump around? Some nodding, a little bit. My mind jumps around because I have to keep track of the time. Anybody have any questions? So I thought tonight we might spend a minute or two talking about patience. And before we got started, I said you might need to be patient with yourself, or be patient with yourself tonight, especially if you're new. Patience is one of those things, I think we hear about it a lot when we're little. You know, we're taught from a very young age to be patient. And I think a lot of us think we have a pretty good understanding of what it means to be patient. But here's the thing. Sometimes we cause ourselves suffering when we practice patience, even though our mind knows that patience is a good thing. We still have these other less pleasant feelings occur around patience, like levels of frustration or feelings of anxiety. We have to be patient for something. And I think maybe that's because we're mixing up patience with waiting. And they're two different things. Now, waiting or being able to wait is a good thing. And I think there's a fair amount of like entanglement between waiting and patience. But here's the thing. And I think this might be where some of the suffering comes from. Waiting is passive, and it keeps us focused on like a destination or an event out in the future. And patience keeps your focus on the present moment. And that's exactly what we practice when we sit in zazen. We're focusing on our breath. We're paying attention to the present moment. I remember as a little kid going out to dinner with my parents. And at the end of the meal, my mother wanted to have a cup of coffee. Just one cup of coffee. But I was little and my brother was little and we were done eating and we wanted to get out of there. We did not want to sit and wait for our mother to have a cup of coffee. And I remember it being kind of torturous. And that poor woman just wanted to sit there for 15 more minutes and have a cup of coffee. And so for me, it was waiting because I had something else in mind that I wanted to do or someplace else that I wanted to be. And I think for a lot of us, when we think about something that we have to wait for, be patient for, we focus on that end result or that end place. And when we stop doing that and we just focus on what's happening right now, a lot of those negative feelings don't arise, or they arise less. Does that make any sense? I've been thinking about this a lot the last couple of days. So patience is one of the 6 paramitas. And that's Samantabhadra. And he's a bodhisattva and he's sitting on an elephant. And the elephant has 6 tusks and there's 6 paramitas. And they're basically part of the bodhisattva practice, but it's also practice that any of us can do. It's their practice, their virtues that they practice, basically for self-improvement on their path toward Buddhahood. Bodhisattvas are enlightened beings that vow to be reborn over and over again until all sentient beings are free from the cycle of samsara or rebirth. So the 6 paramitas, the 6 tusks, represent generosity, ethical conduct, patience, that's the 3rd one, diligence, meditative concentration, and wisdom. And so, you know, we think about patience as remaining calm in the face of adversity, when we have to withstand hardship and challenges. And we do this without becoming agitated. That's patience. That's what we think, with ourselves or with others. But the interesting piece was, where does your mind go while you're doing this? So I don't need to go down the whole rabbit hole, I don't think, but I guess the point is, patience, it doesn't mean that you just restrain yourself to keep your cool when you're faced with something that's frustrating or makes you angry or whatever. You're not suppressing or avoiding feelings to control yourself. You're learning, or we're all learning, to recognize what's arising as it's happening and release it. And patience involves cultivating the willingness, I think, to see things as they really are, which is what this practice is all about. Engaging with the present moment calmly, no matter what the difficulty is, and responding with compassion. So it's not just learning to endure difficult situations or hardships passively. That's definitely waiting. Patience, I think it allows us to engage actively with a calmer, more balanced mind. Somebody, I think it was yesterday even, we were talking about something else. But the example of getting on the freeway from here and driving up to LA, and then when the visit was done, getting back on the freeway to drive back to San Diego and getting stuck in traffic. Like terrible traffic. And I think if you're waiting, you can get frustrated with the fact that, now that you're stuck in traffic, you're not going to get back to where you wanted to go as quickly as you thought. But when you practice patience, you just accept what's happening and figure out a way to enjoy yourself. Turn on the music. And I've had that happen to me. You're trying to get somewhere and traffic happens and you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to get there on time. Your brain goes to all these other different places and you really just can't do anything about it. So you might as well just enjoy yourself and not make yourself suffer more. So the practice of zazen is just sitting in meditation. And that's what we're doing when we sit in zazen. We're actively engaging with the present moment quietly and calmly. And I think when you first start practicing, particularly in the very beginning, early stages of practice, it can be very difficult to understand exactly what you're doing when you're sitting in Zen practice. You're sitting and you're breathing, but why? And the why, you feel it. If the bell rings and you feel like you're coming back into the room, you're not meditating. Meditating means you're staying right here. You hear everything that's happening. Your eyes are slightly open. You're aware of everything that's going on, and you're just following your breath. And thoughts come, and you let them go. And you go back to your breath. And the thoughts come, and you let them go. And you come back to your breath. That's the practice. That's what we're doing. It's present moment awareness. And so, particularly with patience, and when we have to give ourselves patience when we're practicing, I remember sitting in the early days, and you get to a point, especially if you're comfortable sitting for a few minutes, but like 20 minutes seems really long, where you start to wonder, like, did the person ringing the bell die? Like, are they ever going to ring the bell? Or like, my hip is killing me. I can't feel my feet. Like, when are they going to ring the bell? And then you start to suffer because you're just thinking about when the bell's going to ring, rather than not worrying about it and just sitting until the bell rings, because the bell's going to ring. That's all I got. Anybody got anything?
I feel like the bell ringing is why I like coming here, is because I don't have to think about what I'm doing, and all of a sudden it's like, oh, hey, I'm done. So to me, that start and finish with the bell helps, I think, to like not focus on when this can be done.
Takes the pressure off.
It does. Yeah,
It takes the pressure off.
It relieves some of that, like, oh.
The anxiety. You just have to trust and know that the bell will ring.
Yeah.
And my job is to just sit and breathe until it does. But there are times, for me particularly when I was first starting to meditate, where you start to scream inside your head, like, when is this going to end? And you're just torturing yourself. It's like self-suffering. It's kind of the same thing. You think about the ending instead of where you're at. And if we just focus a little bit more on what's actually happening, then the time is going to pass anyway. I mean, it really will. And before you know it, 20 minutes doesn't feel that long. I mean, if you can come in off the bat and sit for 20 minutes, you're doing great. It's quarter till. We can sit for 10 minutes, and then it's going to feel like that. And then we'll let Vicky come up and do our announcements. Okay, last chance. Anybody have any questions about anything before we go again? If your legs or your feet or anything fell asleep on you, change positions. Don't sit the same way. Yeah, switch your legs out or sit. You don't have to sit in full or half lotus, which is having your feet up on your thighs. You can sit Burmese style, which is the legs are kind of like, you probably can't see, but your legs are kind of like this, which might be a little bit easier. They're like in front of each other. But do try to keep your knees down so that you have that 3 points of contact. Okay, we'll go for a shorty. It's the fastest 10 minutes of your life. All right, last chance. Anybody got anything? Yeah.
The eyes open.
Yeah.
Thing always, I never really tried. Like, how open is it? Like wide open, or like kind of open?
No, just I mean, if you just were to like relax your eyes a lot right now and look down, they would just be barely open. And you don't have to worry about focusing your vision or unfocusing your vision. Just let it do whatever it's going to do, and don't worry about it. And sometimes even when you start out with your eyes open, they'll close, especially if you get started meditating with your eyes closed, and then you'll have to open them again, and close them again, and open them again. Try it. See, I remember when I first started trying to meditate with my eyes open, it almost seemed like there was too much stimulation. Just the visual input was too much, but you do get used to it, and then it just doesn't distract you. But if you feel when the bell rings that you're coming back into the room, try meditating with your eyes open. It might keep you present in the room when you're meditating, because it's real easy when your eyes are closed to just sort of float off somewhere nice and warm and quiet and fuzzy in your own head. But we're not trying to do that. We're trying to stay really focused and present in the room.
The Tibetan Rinpoche, historical Rinpoche, said about the eyes, you have two choices, half open or half closed.
Yeah. Yeah. Closed is dangerous because you usually will drift off and go to sleep. Yeah.
Do you have any thoughts on the first 20 minutes I left my jacket on, and I spent a lot of time thinking I wish I'd taken my jacket off? Do you have any thoughts on whether like, is there anything wrong with just ripping it off real quick?
Not here.
Okay.
I mean, I can think of a few places, where you go where they practice serious Zen meditation, where they'll be like, figure out your nonsense, because you are not moving, you're not sneezing, you're just going to sit here and breathe until I tell you to stop. But here, yeah, just take it off. Because if you're overheating and all you're doing is thinking about your jacket, then what's the point, right? It's like if your leg falls asleep and all you're thinking about is, oh my God, my leg has fallen asleep. Then you're not meditating. You're thinking about your leg. And if your jacket's on and you really want to take it off and you can't stop thinking about it, it's like an itch. It's a nice experiment to see what happens if you don't scratch an itch, because it usually just stops itching after a while. But if it's going to bother you to the point where you can't do what you're supposed to be doing, just, and then get back to it again. We good? It's my bedtime, guys. All right, Vicki, come on up. Vicki's going to give us some announcements before we close.
Hello, everyone. I'm tonight's host, Vicki. We opened the Dharma Temple 18 years ago to introduce Buddhist practice to those who show up. Those who lead are not nuns, monks, gurus, masters, or teachers, and are not looking for students. They are simply practitioners sharing their interpretation of the practice. Every night we have different classes led by different people from various Buddhist traditions. We have a recovery sauna that meets several times a week for anyone with addiction, and our food redistribution program is every Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We have classes and programs every day, and everything we offer here is always free. The full schedule is on our website and also posted in the entryway above the shoe rack. We have a lending library. If you see a book you like, feel free to borrow it and then bring it back whenever you are done. Please straighten your seat or cushion before you head out. And thank you for being here. Thank you, Meredith. That was really cool. Patience and the way you really appreciated that.
You're welcome.
Thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here, and we wish you well.
I should have done a transfer of merit before. So if you will indulge me now, if you feel comfortable, you can bring your palms to heart center. I like to do a transfer of merit before we close. May the benefit of this practice be transferred to all beings in all directions. May all beings be at peace and free from suffering. May any merit gained from this practice be transferred to those who need it most. Thanks, guys. Have a safe night.